Hey everybody, welcome back to Video. So, today we're continuing the series on the MiSTer FPGA D810 Nano project. I got a fun and exciting episode for you guys this evening because Wickerwaka has released a prototype of his Irem M107 PCB core. And honestly, that is a fun time, even if this board basically has only 3 games on it. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. Just be aware that right now this is still a prototype core. It is not finalized and you do need to build it from GitHub code if you want to experience it. And that is always fun. You guys should learn how to actually build cores from GitHub. It is a good time and it definitely teaches you something, so I can't recommend it enough. But it's awesome that Wickerwaka has brought Irem M107 over to MiSTer FPGA because it is a derivative of the M92 hardware that we just recently talked about and his core with all the amazing games like Ninja Baseball, Batman, and R-Type Leo. You will see that there's definitely some layer priority issues here. The plane should not be going underneath the trees, nor should the bullets, but again, this is just a work in progress, and what is here is working fundamentally decently, and it's always fun to kind of see how the sausage gets made and how these cores actually evolve over time. So basically there's different sprites and they have different layers, and as long as those layers are all aligned correctly, everything looks the same as it should on real hardware. Think of going into Photoshop and just basically putting all your layers in there. If one layer is out of order, nothing is going to look exactly how you want it to, and that's what you're seeing here on the core. But just playing through Air Assault, it is a fun time to see this running on MiSTer FPGA, and if Air Assault doesn't sound familiar, this game was also called Fire Barrel, depending on which actual area of the world you were in when you played it on release. If there's only going to be 3 games on a board, at least we get an awesome shmup. If you're wondering what the other 2 games are, they are 2 different soccer games or football for my European viewers, and honestly, I've never been a huge fan of the soccer or football genre in arcade gaming, but I'm sure a lot of you are, and I'm sure you want to play these, so hopefully those do come soon. But right now the core is just running this one title. But what is on offer here when you're not underneath the trees and the layering is correct looks like an 85 to 90% complete core. You will see that some of the graphics definitely are overrunning their play boundary here. On the top left hand corner you should see 1P, and on the bottom left hand corner you should see that full third bomb in the corner there. So there does need to be a little bit of adjustment made to the overall viewport of what you're seeing. But again, considering this is brand new, it is in and of itself impressive, and it shows that we're getting more stuff over to MiSTer FPGA, and Irem has so many fun boards. It's a bummer that they didn't develop more games for the M107, but that's also not weird. Konami is the king of basically producing new hardware, putting 1 to 2 games on it and saying screw it, let's build something else. But this is basically Irem's final board as far as what they designed is concerned. And you'll see here as the clouds are going by, as the water goes underneath, it is a very pretty game. This is graphically expanded upon compared to M92, so you do get a little bit more power under the hood, but it isn't a gigantic fundamental change compared to the M92. But it seems like Wickerwaka is motivated to get all of these different Irem cores working on MiSTer FPGA, and clearly he must be a fan of the hardware, and that's always fun to see, and it's always so good to get more stuff over on MiSTer. Pretty much every week we get at least 1 or 2 new entries on the arcade side of things, and having M107 come over as well is always fun to see, and I can't wait to see what the next revision of this core brings, to see if some of those sprite layering priorities are fixed, or if some of the overrun of the graphics on the left and right hand side of the screen get adjusted, because you can change the different video modes here as well. This is a tate or vertical game, and you can rotate it in the core, and honestly I did take a look at this in my spare time right before I did the voiceover, and on my PVM, if I turned it on its side, I still had the same missing bit of text there. But the sound on this core is very good, and the soundtrack of this game is awesome as well, so it seems like the sound section's pretty well buttoned up. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a sound sample, let you know what the core sounds like, and I'll come back and talk more about the hardware in the core. But enjoy. sounds good to my ears, but you leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think. And you'll see again as we move into this next section, this city, we are going to be going underneath some of the buildings. So again, that sprite priority is slightly not what you would expect it to be, but that's totally fine. And I actually really love playing cores when they're in development. And big thanks to Andy D for helping with some of the captures on the video as well today. You will see that some things are expanding and contracting in the actual gameplay, so it seems like some of those sprites might be just kind of slightly misaligned and trying to realign themselves. But this again is what I love about MiSTer FPGA. For every single finished core we have, we get to test something that's in development and kind of better understand how the hardware works. So if you know anything about me or the channel, I absolutely love arcade hardware and I pretty much love gaming hardware, and I'm always very curious to how they actually function and work, and how every single chip, whether it's the CPU or on the graphics side, works in tandem to actually produce what is a video game at the end. So for me, seeing this footage, playing this game, and just seeing what is successful and what needs improvement is a good time, because it better helps you understand exactly what is happening. I wouldn't say that you should run out and try to play this today. It is fun for testing and it is fun to check out, but obviously your ship and the bullets going behind certain aspects on the screen are going to make for a much more challenging gameplay experience. But honestly, if anyone wants to try to 1cc this in its current state, I would absolutely love to see a video of that, and I will even promote it on Twitter and on my YouTube. If you're able to pull off a 1cc with your ship and the bullets going missing half the time, that would just amuse me to no end. But as far as everything else is concerned, the sound, the controls just seem to be 100% there. It just seems to be bug fixing on the graphic side of things. And when the game is working, when nothing's expanding or contracting, when nothing is basically having a layer priority issue, you'd be hard pressed to not realize that this was in development. If I just showed you a screenshot of the game, I could definitely just tell you this was done and you would think it is. So this seems like a very good first pass from Wickerwaka at an Irem core here. And again, like I said, not super excited for the soccer and football games, not my favorite thing, but honestly I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited, and you'll see some of the explosions there do have some sprite issues as well. But this is going to be fun to follow along with. I'm guessing Wickerwaka will button up relatively quickly because again, there's not a ton of games to actually test for compatibility. 3 games on the hardware, if all 3 of those work, then you will be good to go in the end. But it's always fun to see these new developments and see how these cores get shaped up. And again, if you want to play this, you got to go over to GitHub and actually build the core yourself. But there is some fun to be had in that. Learn more about how FPGAs work, how the entire process works, and it'll be even more interesting to you, I think. And I do love the fact that the plane does disappear underneath this aircraft carrier as well. It's a totally different vibe, and I'm 100% there for it. And I'm very curious to see what Wickerwaka tackles after he does everything Irem, because there's a ton of other amazing arcade boards out there, so many of which have not yet come over to MiSTer. But short of that, Irem M107 is here in a prototype stage. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, I'm going to keep this video short because it's Friday and you're probably all going out. I know I am. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.